Should we start? Morning, everyone. So in the last class, we were discussing about collections, right? As part of collection, we have started list collection. Before discussing list collection, we have seen how to work with ID, right? And then we have seen what is array list. Already we have completed array list. Some points we have discussed regarding array list. And I have shown some methods of array list. So array list is a implementation class of list. List is a collection interface. So array list is a collection class, list collection class. Now let's talk about the second implementation class of list interface. What is that? Vector. Let's quickly complete vector after array list. Okay. Vector we will see this. Okay. Now we'll see linked list and stack later, but before that, let's talk about vector. So what is vector? Vector is a class, and vector is an implementation class of list interface. Vector is an implementation class of list. So what is vector? Vector is a class, and vector is an implementation class of which interface? List interface. Is this clear? So vector is a class, and vector is an implementation class of list interface. So when we should go for vector? If you want to represent a group of, if you want to store a group of individual objects as a single entity where duplicates are allowed and insertion order is preserved, then we should go for vector. Same as array list. See, if you want to store a group of individual objects as a single entity where duplicates are allowed and insertion order is preserved, then go for vector. So what is vector? It is a class and implementation class of list interface. If you want to store a group of individual objects as a single entity where duplicates are allowed and insertion order is preserved, then go for vector. Same definition as array list. So tell me, in vector, duplicates are allowed or not allowed? Allowed. Duplicates are. Now insertion order is preserved or not preserved? Preserved. Is this clear? Insertion order is preserved. Now both homogeneous, heterogeneous objects are allowed or not allowed? Allowed. Both homogeneous and heterogeneous objects are allowed. Now null insertion is allowed or not allowed? Allowed. How many times? Any number of times, because duplicates are same points as array list. Is this clear? Now let's see how to create object of vector. Should we? We have a zero parameterized constraint using which we can create object of vector. How? Vector b is equal to new vector, like this. Vector b is equal to new vector of parenthesis semicolon. So this is how we can create object of vector. So one empty vector object will be created. What will be created? One empty vector object will be created with the initial capacity 10, because I'm using zero parameterized constructor. Is this clear? So see, the above statement creates empty vector object with initial capacity, empty vector object with initial capacity 10. The above statement creates empty vector object with initial capacity, empty vector object with initial capacity 10. Initial capacity 10. Is this clear? Following everyone? Okay. So now see, if you go to API document, see, if you go to API document, if you see java.util package, we have a class called vector. So what is vector? It is a class available in java.util package. So vector is an implementation class of list interface. So see the methods of vector. See, we have zero parameterized constructor. It creates empty vector object with initial capacity as 10. Now after crossing initial capacity, what will be the new capacity? 2 into current capacity. 2 into means double. I'm following on. Now new capacity will be 2 into current capacity. That is double. Okay. Now see the methods of a vector. We have parameterized constraint. If you don't want initial capacity 10, if you want to create vector object with your own capacity, use this constraint. Pass your own capacity. Pass 20, pass 30, pass 40. The name vector object will be created with 30 capacity or 50 like that. Is this clear? Okay. Next, see the method. Same methods. We have add method. Add with the 2 parameter inter. Okay, add all method. We have add element method, clear method, clone method, contains method, elements method, equals method, first element method, get method, index of method, index, okay, is empty method. So like this, there are different methods. The remove method is there. Remove element method is there. Is this clear? You can see a lot of methods are there. So set method is there. Size method is there. So these are the ready-made methods. Okay, let's start working. See, select the package, right click new class. I'm saying vector example. Select main method, finish. The class is ready. Let's start. Now let's create object of vector. Remove generics. Vector v is equal to new vector. So one empty vector object will be created. Okay. Now let's add some objects. V dot add. I'm adding some integer value. So auto boxing will happen here. 10 will be converted into integer wrapper class object by the JVM and added into vector. I'm adding some string. Say welcome. Every string literal is an object of string class. I'm adding a floating value. I'm adding a boolean value. I'm adding null. So tell me. So both homogeneous and heterogeneous objects are allowed. Insertion order is preserved. Duplicates are allowed. And null insertion is allowed. You can see all these points are. You can see. Insertion order preserved. Homogeneous, heterogeneous objects are allowed. Null is also allowed. Duplicates are also allowed. Every element will have index. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like. Is this clear? Apart from this, we have one more method called v dot add with the 2 parameter. At index 0, we have 10. I'm replacing with something say hello. If I display vector, and at index 0, hello will come and remaining object will shift to their indexes. Will shift their indexes, you can see. Next, we have a method called get. V dot get. Get of 0. Now it returns first object. At index 0, which object is there? Hello, string. But it returns as which type? Object type. So typecast to integer type. And I'm displaying system.out.println S. Sorry. Typecast to string type. Sorry. Display S. If you run this C, we got help. I want the element which is at index 1. How to get it? Integer I is equal to integer of v dot get of 1. I'm displaying I. If you run this C, you'll get 10. You're following or not? Okay. Now this is get method. Now we have a method called contains method to check a particular object is there or not there. So v dot contains. The parameter is object type. Return type is boolean. So we can pass any object. I'm passing an object, say string. Is it there? Yes. It returns true. I'm passing an integer value. But when I pass integer value, JVM will convert into integer wrapper class object. Now contents method will check this integer wrapper class object is available in vector. Available? Yes. So it returns true. Following everyone. Very good. This is which method? Contents method. We have a method called is empty. To check my vector is empty or not. V dot is empty. You can see it is false. We have a method called size to find how many elements are there in vector. The return type is integer. So that integer value 7 elements are. We have a method called remove system.out.println. Two remove methods are there. One is taking index, one is taking object. So at index 0, whatever the object is there, I'm removing. After removing, I'm saying display V. See this. So hello is removed. No. Right on. The same way, I want to remove which object I want to remove? 10. How to remove 10? Based on object I want to remove. But if I take C, V dot remove 10, 10 will be taken as index. But this index is not there. So exception will come. Array index or top. So what we have to do? We have to typecast to integer. Then it will take as object and remove. Clear? Now, these are the methods which are coming from collection interface and list interface. Now, vector is having its own methods also. Its own, like what are its own methods? See the methods of vector, its own methods. Add, vector method it is. It is same as add method only. So see, I'm adding some objects in vector. V dot add element. I'm adding some Hyderabad. If I display V, now Hyderabad is added. You can see. This add method is a vector method. Remaining methods are coming from collection interface and list interface. And following or not? Next we have clear we know, capacity we know. So see, element at. It takes the element, index and returns the element. It is same as get method. We have get method or not? Okay, see, it will take the element and returns the, it take index and returns the element. Tell me what is the index of Hyderabad? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Tell me how to get it. V dot element at. What is that? 5. Now it returns that element as which type? Object type. But I want string type. So typecast to string. Now if I display str, run this. Instead of using get method, we can use element at method. Are you following? These are which method? Vector methods these are. Vector methods these are. See, we have first element. It returns first element. Get method we know. Index of we have. Is empty we have. Last element. It returns last element. Are you following or no? So see, we have one method called remove element. Instead of using remove method, we can use remove element method. So these are which method? Vector methods these are. Vector methods these are. See, we have set method and we have set element at method. This is same. Both these methods are same, but this is coming from list interface. This is available in vector. Are you following or not? So like this methods we have. So I hope everyone understood this. So with this, what we have understood? Vector. So let's see. Tell me, vector is same as, now we need to see the differences between array list and vector. So let's see. Vector is same as array list except few differences. So let's see what are those differences, shall we? So vector is same as array list except few differences. See the first difference. Array list is not synchronized, whereas vector is synchronized. Means on an array list object, how many threads are allowed to execute the methods? Multiple thread. But on a vector, on a single vector object, how many threads are allowed to execute the method? Only one thread. By acquiring the log, remaining threads have to wait. First difference. Second difference, shall we? Now, array list is not thread safe, whereas vector is thread safe. Because all the threads are allowed on array list. No thread is waiting. But on vector, only one thread is allowed. Remaining threads are waiting. Second difference. Third difference. Array list, the performance is high in array list. Why? No threads are waiting. No threads are waiting. All threads are allowed at the same time. But in vector, performance is low because one thread is allowed to execute the method by acquiring the log. Meanwhile, remaining threads have to wait or not. That's means the methods of array list are not synchronized. The methods of vector are synchronized. That is the meaning actually. Are you following or not? Okay, next. Array list is available from JDK 1.2 version onwards. So it is a legacy, non-legacy class. Non-legacy. Whereas vector is available from JDK 1.0 version onwards. So vector is legacy class, non-legacy class. Legacy class. So total how many differences are there between array list and vector? 4. Interviewer will ask. So when we should go for array list, when we should go for performance. If you want synchronization, go with array list, vector. If you don't want synchronization, array list. If you want thread safety, vector. Are you following? If you want performance, array list. Are you following or not? So on these parameters, you should decide whether to go for array list or vector. So except for differences, array list and vector are same. So shall we move on to next one? Following everyone? So how many implementation classes of list interface we have completed? 2. Array list and vector. Still 2 are left on. One is linked list, another one is stack. But before discussing linked list and stack, let me start cursors. Let me start. Very, 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 very important. Cursors in collections. Okay. So let's talk about cursors. Should we start cursors? Let's start. So what is a cursor? What is a cursor in Java? In SQL also we have cursors in PLSQL. Now we are learning cursors not in PLSQL, in Java. So what is a cursor? A cursor is an object. What is a cursor? A cursor is an object. Now why we use a cursor? And a cursor is used to retrieve one by one element from a collection. And a cursor is used to retrieve one by one element from a collection. So what is a cursor? A cursor is an object and a cursor is used to retrieve one by one element from a collection. To retrieve one by one element from a collection, we use cursor. So a cursor is an object and a cursor is used to retrieve one by one element from a collection. To retrieve one by one element from a collection, we use cursor. A cursor is an object. Is this clear? So retrieving one by one element from a collection using cursor is also called as iterating over a collection. Iterating over a collection means retrieving one by one element from a collection. So some people will say, using cursor, iterate over a collection. That means retrieve one by one element from a collection using cursor. It's called iterating over a collection. You following or not? Okay. Now, how many cursors are there? There are 3 cursors are there in Java. How many? 3 cursors are. Is this clear? How many cursors are there? 3. Up to JDK 1.7. Up to? From JDK 1.5, one more cursor added. Split iterator. Okay. But I'm talking about 3 cursors. So there are 3 cursors are there in Java. The first one, enumeration. Or the first one. So what is enumeration? It is a cursor. What is it? It is a cursor. What is the second one? Iterator. What is that? Iterator. What is iterator? Iterator is a cursor. Now the last one, list iterator. What is the last one? So what is list iterator? It is a cursor. So total 3 cursors are there in Java. Enumeration, iterator, list iterator. All these 3 are cursor. And cursor is an object. So are you following? Yeah. So enumeration is a cursor. Iterator is a cursor. List iterator is a cursor. A cursor is an object. And using cursor, we can retrieve one by one element from a collection. Cursor is an object, and a cursor is used to retrieve one by one element from a collection. Is this clear, everyone? Okay. You know, all these 3 cursors are interfaces available in java.util package. Sir, what is this, sir? Sometimes you're saying cursor is an object, sometimes you're saying cursor is an interface. What is this, sir? Array, we create object to whom? To a class. And a class can be an implementation class of an interface or not? Yes. We create object to a class. Yes. A class can be an implementation class of an interface or not. So if I say a cursor is an object of a class which is an implementation class of enumeration interface or iterator interface or list iterator interface. So a cursor is an object of a class. A cursor is an object of a class which is an implementation class of enumeration interface or iterator interface or list iterator interface. Is this clear? So all the 3 cursors are interfaces available in java.util package. So a cursor is an object and right object of a class which is an implementation class of enumeration interface or iterator interface or list iterator interface. Is this clear, everyone? So a cursor is an object of a class which is an implementation class of enumeration interface or iterator interface or list iterator interface. Is this clear, everyone? Okay. So till here, okay, everyone? Now listen. So if you understood this, let's do one thing. Let's try to understand first one, enumeration now. Which one? Enumeration. So what is enumeration? It is a cursor. Why we use enumeration cursor? To retrieve one by one element from a collection. So enumeration is a cursor and it is used to retrieve one by one element from a collection. So listen, we have java.util package. In java.util package, we have an interface called enumeration. And what an interface contains? Abstract methods. So in enumeration interface, we have 2 abstract methods. How many abstract methods? The first one is has more elements. What is the method? Has more elements. The return type of has more elements method is Boolean. Is this clear? The next method is next element. What is the second method? Next element. The return type of next element method is object class. So these 2 abstract methods are available in which interface? Enumeration interface, which is a cursor. You tell me, just now I told you a cursor is an object or you tell me, you know, a collection contains group of objects or not, which are called elements or not. So when we create a cursor is an object. When we create a cursor, when we create a cursor is an object. When we create a cursor will be created with the copy of all the elements of a collection. When we create a cursor, which is an object, it is created with the copy of all the elements of a collection. In collection, some elements are there or not? When we create a cursor, this cursor will be created with the copy of all the elements of a collection. Means collection. Cursor is an object. In cursor object also what is available? Cursor is an object. In cursor what is available? Group of objects are available, which are elements. Actually, this group of objects which are called elements are available in collection or not. So when we create a cursor, which is an object, it is created with the copy of all the elements of a collection. Are you following? A cursor takes the copy of all the elements of a collection. Is this clear, everyone? Again, there are two types of copies we have, shallow copy, deep copy. So it will be shallow copy, not deep copy. Are you following or not? While discussing clone method, I need to discuss what is shallow copy, deep copy. But based on your response and all, I have not discussed that shallow copy, deep copy. Okay, but you know now what is cloning? Now I told what is shallow copy, deep copy. Learn yourself, okay? Learn. While discussing clone method, I should discuss. Very long back, I used to discuss shallow copy, deep copy. But I've seen people response in the classes. Too much interested they are. Okay, that's fine. Only cloning we have discussed. And that to which cloning also we don't know. Okay, try that shallow copy, deep copy. So a cursor is created with one copy of all the elements of a collection. Is this clear? So using has more elements method. Now why use has more elements method? It is used to test enumeration, which is a cursor, which is an object, contains more elements of. If more elements are there in enumeration, returns true. If not, return false. Once we start retrieving the elements from collection, are you following or not? After retrieving all the elements, it will reach to last, right? Then it returns false. It's like cursor, cursor will move or not, like that. Are you following? And using which method? Next element method. What next element method will do? It returns the next element of this enumeration. In enumeration, elements are there, na? It returns one element, one next element it will return. It will test elements are there or not. If there, we need to use next element method to return the element from a collection. Are you following? And we have to use these methods in a loop. Which loop? While loop. Why while loop? Because we don't know how many elements are there. Are you following on? So tell me, enumeration is a class or interface? Interface. Can we create object to enumeration interface? We can create object to its implementation class. And we don't need to provide implementation class. Sun Microsystem already provided. So enumeration object means its implementation class object. Are you following or not? Which is provided by Sun Microsystem. And we don't need to create object to implementation class. Why? Sun Microsystem provided a factory method. Which method? And that factory method will create object. Object of enumeration or object of implementation class of enumeration. Are you following or not? So see, Sun Microsystem has provided a factory method which creates and returns the object of enumeration interface implementation class. And the factory method is available in which class? Vector class, that factory method is available. That factory method is available in which class? So in java.util package, we have a class called vector now. In this vector class, this factory method elements is available. The return type of this method is enumeration. So it creates and returns enumeration object. Actually, it creates and returns enumeration object. It's implementation class object. But indirectly, we can say enumeration object. Implementation class is implementation class type as well as interface type. Are you following? And this is an instance factory method available in vector class. So using vector object, we have to call this method. And it returns enumeration object. Vector is a collection or not? In collection, already some objects are there which are called elements or not. Using vector, we need to create enumeration by using this factory method. Then what happened? A vector, right or not? Enumeration will be created with one copy of all the elements of vector. Following or not? Is this clear? Using vector, I have to create enumeration. In vector, we have one method elements. Using vector object, we need to call this method. So what this method will do? This method will take one copy of all the elements of vector and creates enumeration object. So enumeration object will be created with one copy of all the elements of vector. Following or not? Then using has more elements method, we have to test elements are there or not there in enumeration. Using next element method, if there, get retrieve one by one element. So shall we start now? So we have to use vector or RLS to work with the enumeration. To work with enumeration cursor, we have to use vector or RLS. Why? Because the factory method is available in. So we need vector object to call that. The factory method is not available in RLS. Same package. Right click, new class. Which class? Enumeration exam. Enumeration is a cursor. Main method, finish. Let's create object of. 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 Vector. So many times you ask, you are forcing me to ask the question, right? So vector. Shall we? Generics we will see later. V is equal to new vector. Next week we are going to start advanced Java. Okay, tell me. Shall we? Everyone. In one of the batch, they told us to discuss networking chapter also. Java.NET package, networking. But this only we are not showing interest. Why should I discuss networking? Tell me. And they're asking enumeration, enum, annotation. Anyhow, Ajay sir will discuss enumeration and annotation. Right? Why you want me to discuss? So based on student response, I will discuss the thing. Okay? I'm discussing a lot of things. If you are interested, I will discuss. Otherwise, why should I discuss? Yes or no? Correct? Correct. See, last people are not listening also. That's why. Okay, let's start. Shall we? Let's start. So vector is empty, not empty. Empty. Let's add some objects in vector. Vector is a collection. Circle. In that objects using add method. Okay. Add method you can use add element method also. Tell me, v dot add. Add method only I'm using. List method it is. Add element is vector method. Okay. Tell me, adding some objects. Some Hyderabad I'm add. Or let's add India. Okay. Then v dot add. I'm adding some 100. Wrapper class object. V dot add. I'm adding some floating value. V dot add. I'm adding something, say, England. Is this clear? Now V dot add. I'm adding some 200. V dot add. I'm adding some true. Heterogeneous objects I'm adding. My vector is having some objects you can see. Diagram, big circle, small circles in bigger circle. Big circle is vector. Small circles are India, 100, 2.5. Heterogeneous object. India is string class object. 100 is integer wrapper class object. 2.5 is double wrapper class object. England is string class object. 200 is integer wrapper class object. True is Boolean wrapper class object. Diagram. Big circle in that small circles. Small circles are group of other objects. Big circle is collection. Your collection is vector. Now what we now want? We want to retrieve one by one element from collection. Which collection? Vector. Using which cursor? Enumeration. So let's display one message first. Using vector. Using enumeration cursor. Good. Now tell me. So we need to create enumeration object or not? So we have a factory method, instance factory method, whose name is elements, whose return type is enumeration. So that method creates and returns enumeration object. And that method is available in vector class. Instance method available in vector class. So to call elements method, we need vector class object or not. In vector class, that method elements is available. Instance method, how to call? V dot element C, element C. See, I typing V dot, okay, E. C, the method, C, element. Instance method static. Yes or no? Instance method static. Instance method, static keyword is not there, no? And return type is, and it is available in which class? Call that method. It returns which object? Enumeration. So create enumeration reference variable to hold enumeration object. Are you following or not? En is a enumeration. Tell me, a cursor is created with one copy of all the elements of a collection or not? So here enumeration is a cursor. It is created with one copy of all the elements of vector. Vector or a base vector object. In that we have some elements now. So this enumeration is created with one copy of all the elements of vector. So all these elements copy is available in enumeration. One copy is available. Not available. Available. So now, so what we do? We need to test first. Elements are there or not there using has more elements method. If they're using next element method, get one element. And we have one element collection of element. So use loop. And we know how many elements are there? No. So use which loop? While has more element. While in parenthesis has more elements. Has more element. Has more element is a method, na? Instance method, na? Available in enumeration class, na? So we need to call has more elements method. We need object of enumeration, na? Why using has more element method directly? Using enumeration object, we have to call. So how? I want all the people should answer, not 1, 2, 3 people. I know who can answer also, who cannot. Is this clear? Use your brain. Two methods are there in enumeration. One is has more elements method. Second is next element method. To call those method, we need which object? Enumeration object. Already we got enumeration object or not? We are not creating enumeration object. Factory method is creating. Which factory method? Elements, which is available in vector. That's why using vector, I'm calling that method. The return type of that method is enumeration. Means it returns enumeration object. That's why I'm creating enumeration reference variable to hold that object. Actually, En is a reference variable of enumeration, which is an interface. It is holding its implementation class object. So this factory method is creating enumeration interface implementation class object, not enumeration object. Understand what it is? Okay. This factory interface contains what is to implementation class of interface. Yes or no? Yes. Yes or no? Inside this class one method is there. The return type of this method is 1. What is 1? interface. Method name is M3. So what M3 method returns? M3 method return type is what? 1. What is 1? Interface. So what M3 method returns? Object of whose implementation class of one interface, right or not? So 1 O is equal to new 2. I'm creating object of 1. Can we create object of 1 interface? Na? We cannot create object to interface. We can create object to implementation class, but we can create reference variable to interface. Using interface reference variable, we can hold implementation class object. No? Already completed, na interfaces. Now, return. Oh, so this M3 method is returning implementation class object, interface object, implementation class. It is returning implementation class object as implementation class type, interface type. And implementation class is 2 type, interface is 1 type. So it is returning implementation class object, but as 1. Okay, implementation class type, interface type. Interface type, 1 type it is returning. Now tell me how to call that method. We need class 3 object to call that method or not? Assume class 3 object is TH. What is TH? Object of class 3. Tell me how to call M3 method. TH dot M5. 3. TH dot M3. Right or not? Now what it is returning? What M3 method is returning? Object. Which class object? 1. Object of 1. Actually, it is returning 1 is an interface. It is not returning 1 interface object. It is returning implementation class object. Indirectly, you can say 1 class object. Are you following or not? So hold in 1 class reference variable. So O is a reference variable of interface or class. And it is holding which class object? Implementation class object. Which one? 2. Are you following or not? So assume in place of 1 enumeration take. In place of 1, which is an interface, take enumeration interface. So this, and in place of M3 method, take elements method. In place of 1, take enumeration. Are you following or not? In place of class 3, take yes or no? So it returns which object? Enumeration object, it's implementation class object. Say implementation class name is enumeration IMPL. We don't know name. Do we know? Assuming enumeration IMPL, which is an implementation class of enumeration interface. And it is now EN is a reference variable of interface holding implementation class object and returns EN. So to call this elements method, we need which class object? Vector. Now we have vector. Okay. Then we need to call which method? Elements. How to call? V dot. Now what it is returning? Object. Which object? Enumeration object. Actually, enumeration object, it's implementation class object. But as enumeration type, implementation class type. Enumeration type. That's why holding in enumeration interface reference variable. Are you following or not? So EN is holding enumeration object. It's implementation class object. Indirectly, enumeration object. Indirect. Once again. Clear? This is the last stage of explanation. Then also your understanding is. Then also not understanding. We will call James Ghostly. And we will ask James Ghostly, learn Hindi and Telugu and come to explain. I hope you got the clarity. Shall we move on now? So EN not enumeration object. It's implementation class object. But indirectly we can say enumeration. A subclass object we can hold by using superclass reference variable. In interfaces, implementation class is like superclass. Implementation class is like subclass. So implementation class is implementation class type as well as interface type. That's why using interface reference variable, we can hold implementation class. So indirectly say enumeration object. Okay. And this enumeration object is created with one copy of all the elements of vector. All these copies available here. Tell me, while has more elements. Has more elements. En dot has more. What it does, it tests. More elements are there in enumeration. There or not there? There means returns true. True to whom? While loop. True to whom means while loop. If condition true, loop will repeat. If condition false, stop. Ask people. Following or not? Then inside the body. Inside the body, we need to retrieve an element or not. What is the method? So how to call? And or next element. What is the return type of this method? Object. It returns one object from enumeration. But as which type? Object type. So what is the first object in vector? India, which is a string class object. But next element method returns as string type or object type. That's why we need to hold in object class reference variable. Later you can typecast. Now I'm just displaying what it will display? India. Then loop repeat. Will repeat, will not repeat. Then en dot has more elements. There or not there? There. Next element method returns which element? 100, which is a integer wrapper class object. Integer. We are holding it as which type? Object type. That's why in object class reference variable I'm holding display. Then third double wrapper class object. Then England string class object. Then 200 integer wrapper class object. Then Boolean wrapper class. You following? Now after retrieving all the elements, more elements are there or not there? Stop. The cursor reaches to last element. After that, no elements are there. So as more elements method returns false. Assume one cursor is there, which is moving. Whenever I call next element method. After retrieving all the elements, no elements are there. So has more elements method returns false. False means stop the loop. So see, run. Yes or no? Everyone. Hero. Following on. Understood how to use enumeration? Everyone? Clear or not clear? Always remember, when we create a cursor is created with one copy of all the elements of a collection. Your collection is vector. Your cursor is enumeration. Okay? So with this, what we have completed, which cursor? Now, let us see the disadvantages of enumeration cursor. It has disadvantages. So see, the first and foremost disadvantage. Shall I? The first and foremost disadvantage of enumeration cursor is enumeration cursor is allowed only for legacy classes, but not allowed for non-legacy classes. If a cursor is allowed for legacy and non-legacy classes, then it is called universal cursor. But if it is not allowed for non-legacy classes, it is allowed only for legacy classes, then it is not a universal cursor. You following or not? Say this. Enumeration cursor is allowed only for legacy classes, but not for non-legacy classes. So it is not a second. That's why I have used enumeration with vector. I have not used enumeration with array list. Array list is non-legacy, not allowed. And did you remember? I have discussed only array list and vector, not linked list tag. Why? To discuss cursor. Why? Array list is non-legacy. Vector is, so I need legacy class, one non-legacy to discuss cursors. That's why. That's why I have not discussed linked list. Because array list vector. Second, using enumeration cursor, we can only perform one operation. Which operation? Retrieve. Retrieve. But can we perform any other operations like removing, adding, replacing? This is second disadvantage. So using enumeration, we can perform only retrieve operation, but not other operations like add, remove, and replace. Is this clear, V1? Now, let us do one thing. So as enumeration cursor is having disadvantages, that's why which cursor comes into picture? Iterator. So let's see iterator, shall we? So iterator is a cursor. A cursor is an object. And why we use iterator cursor? To retrieve one by one element from a collection. Now let us see the advantages of iterator cursor over enumeration cursor. So listen, iterator cursor is allowed for both legacy classes and non-legacy classes. So iterator is a which cursor? Universal cursor. That's why most of the people, everyone prefer iterator. Understanding? Yeah. Now the second advantage of iterator cursor. What is the second advantage? Shall we? The second advantage of iterator cursor is, following everyone, the second advantage is using iterator cursor, we can perform remove retrieve operation. Apart from retrieve, one more operation, remove also. Are you following or not? We can remove elements also while retrieving. So one more operation we can perform. Two operations total, retrieve and remove. Is this clear? Okay. Next, shall we? So iterator is a class or interface? Interface. Available in java.util package. Interface contains abstract method. So how many abstract methods are there in iterator interface? Three methods. Shall we? In enumeration, how many are there? Two. What are the first method? As more elements method. Here, as next, which is same as more elements method. As next is same as more elements. It also tests. Iterator cursor contains more elements of. Second method, what is the second method in enumeration? Next element. Here, next, which is same as next element method. Method names are modified. Are you following or not? One more additional method, remove. Are you following or not? Got the clarity? So tell me, enumeration is iterator is a class or interface? Interface. Can we create object to iterator? No. So we can create object to its implementation class, which is provided by Sun Microsystem. Are you following? And Sun Microsystem has provided factory method to create object to iterator interface implementation class. So indirectly, that factory method creates iterator object. And that's right or not? So to create object of iterator interface implementation class, Sun Microsystem has provided a factory method. What is that factory method? The factory method name is also iterator only. Iterator only, where I is small case. Our method name start with lower case R. And the return type of this method is, means it returns which object? Iterator object. Actually, it's implementation class object, but indirectly iterator object. And this method you will find in all the collections, all the collections you can find. You will find these methods in all the collection. In array list, vector, linked list, tag, asset, link asset, hash map. In all the collection classes, you will find this factory method iterator. In array list also you will find vector also in all the collections. So to call this method, you need any collection object, any collection object. Okay. So shall we see? See. See, vector is there. See, in vector, that factory method iterator is available or not available? Check. See, elements method, which returns enumeration object. We need which method? See, iterator method. Available or not available? Not available. Return type, iterator. You told, na? Okay, in array list also this factory method is available. And in all the collections, it is available. Not only array list and vector, in all the collections. So, what is the method? See. Tell me how to. So let's start working then, shall we? So we need array list or not? Array list you take or vector you take, up to you. So I'm taking the example. Main method finish. Tell me. Let's create array list. List is equal to new array list. List dot add. I'm adding some objects. Some 100 I'm adding. List dot add. I'm adding some apple. List dot add. I'm adding some floating value. List dot add. Adding some boolean value. List dot add. I'm adding some orange. List dot add. I'm adding some 200. List dot add. I'm adding some false. Some objects I have added. Can see. Now we want to retrieve one by one element from collection. Which collection? Array list using iterator cursor. So let's try. Iterator cursor. Tell me. First we need to create iterator object or not? So in array list class we have one factory method. List dot. List is an object of. List list is an object of. Using that object I'm calling factory method iterator. It returns which object? Iterator object. So tell me, iterator is a cursor or not? A cursor is created with one copy of all the elements of a collection or? So iterator object is created with one copy of all the elements of array list. All this, the copy of all these elements will be there in iterator. ITR, right or not? ITR is iterator object. Tell me, while ITR dot has more elements. As next. Method name is modified as next. And inside this object O is equal to ITR dot next element. Next. Yes or no?
Yes.
And returns one object as object type. Which type? Object type only. So hold in object class reference variable display. Series. I'm retrieving one by one element from using iterator cursor. You tell me using iterator we can perform only a retrieve operation, remove operation also. So can we call remove method? We cannot call remove. So tell me how to call ITR dot remove. But if I call remove method directly, what will happen? What will happen? It will remove all the objects from array list. So my array list become empty now, like your brain, right or not? Say this. Array, first time objects are there. We are retrieving and displaying. After that, we are removing na. So see at the last empty na. But we want to remove all the objects, specific objects, or only one object I want to remove. Decide which object you want. You can remove specific objects or one object or all objects. Up to you. Here we are removing all objects. But I don't want to remove all objects. I want to remove one object. Which object? Orange I want to remove. How to remove? Using index. We have remove method. That's it. No parameter, nothing. Are useless? Listen. Listen. Remove method is a which method? Array list method or vector iterator method? Iterator. Suppose list is an object of. Now this remove method is which method? This remove method is arraylist method. Listen, at the time of retrieving elements one by one from collection, if we modify the collection, you will get one exception. At the time of retrieving the elements using a cursor from a collection, if we modify, remove method will modify. Modify means it will remove one object from collection now. So see, you will get exception, concurrent modification exception. Are you following? You told now you use index now, use index. So you cannot call at the time of retrieving element using a cursor, we cannot call the methods of collection which modifies the collection. Are you following or not? We have to call which methods? Cursor methods only we have to call. Less people. So cursor method only we have to call. Collection method we cannot call. If you call collection method which modifies the collection while iterating, exception will come. Concurrent modification exception. Go in your header. Yeah. Then what we need to do? Pass index. We have remove method without any parameter, pass index. According to you, it will work, right or not? So what we need to do, listen, shall I? So what we have to do, you have to take if condition. If O instance of string. In O, string class object is there or not there? Check. If there, typecast to string. Typecast to O typecast to string. After that, we have one string class object, multiple. But we want to remove which object whose data is orange. So if str dot equals to orange, then itr dot remove. Now itr dot remove, list dot remove. List dot remove. List. While iterating, we can modify collection, right or not? While iterating elements using cursor, okay, if we modify a collection by calling the methods of a collection, it will work, right or not? We get exception. This is how we have to do it. So run. See, orange is coming while iterating, but here it is removed or not removed. Understanding or not? This is how we have to write the condition to remove. Okay, sir? Understood? Interviewer may ask you, while at the time of retrieving one by one element from a collection, if we modify a collection by calling the methods directly on collection, will it work or will not work? We cannot modify the collection at the time of iterating. Are you following? We can modify but using the methods of cursor, but not using the methods of collection. Keep these things in mind. Are you following or not? Otherwise, we will get concurrent modification exception. One is accessing, one is removing. Non-synchronization. Remember? Synchronization, non-synchronization. That is the problem. Okay? Is it okay, sir? Yeah. So this is what which a cursor. So let's see the disadvantages of iterator cursor, shall we? So the first disadvantage of iterator cursor is what? Iterator cursor is a unidirectional cursor. Which cursor? Unidirectional. Unidirectional means we can retrieve elements only in one direction. What is the direction? Forward. But can we retrieve elements in backward direction? We cannot. So it is not a bidirectional cursor. It is that is the disadvantage. Actually, that people say disadvantage. What you will do by retrieving elements in backward also? In forward, if you retrieve, it is more than enough. Backward also. What? But it is disadvantage. Are you following or not? So unidirectional means we can retrieve elements only in one direction. That is forward. Another, using iterator cursor, we can perform only two operations, retrieve and remove, but not add and replace. Add and replace. Are you following or not? That's why which cursor comes into picture? So list iterator is a cursor. It is used to retrieve one by one element from a collection. So what are the advantages of list iterator? It is a bi-directional cursor. By means two. Means we can retrieve elements in forward direction as well as backward direction, both the direction. And using iterator cursor, we can perform retrieve operation, add operation, replace operation, and remove operation. All four operations we can perform. Why? Methods are available in that. While iterating, are you following or not? So these are the advantages of which cursor? Tell me, list iterator is a class or interface? Interface available in java.util5. Now it contains abstract method. What are those? Same methods like has, next for forward direction. For backward thing, as, previous, previous. If you use brain, you can answer. For backward direction. Are you following or not? And for to perform operation, remove method, add method, set method, and replace method. Sorry, set method is replace one. Remove operation, add, set, adding new element. Set means replace. All four operations we can perform. Are you following? So can we create object to list iterator? No, it's a interface. So to create object to list iterator implementation class, a microsystem provided a factory method whose name is list iterator only, where L is small case. List iterator, I is capital. The return type is list iterator. So it returns list iterator object. Which object? Are you following? And this method is available in list collections, in list collection classes. Who are list collection classes? Array list, vector, linked list, and stack. Are you following or not? Before disadvantage, let's see how to work with list iterator. Shall we? Both forward and backward direction we can. Let's complete cursors. Next class we will start generics. I'll complete generics in next class. After generics, linked list and stack also I will complete. Are you following? Now let's start. See. So select the package, right click new class. List iterator example. Main method, finish. The class is ready. What to do? Create array list or vector, up to you. Up to you. List dot add. Some objects we need to add. Adding Hyderabad. Adding 100. Adding some true. Adding some 2.5. Adding some Chennai. I'm adding some 200. I'm adding some false. Okay. I'm just displaying lists. Now tell me, I want to retrieve one by one element from array list in forward direction using list iterator. Tell me. System.out.println. Okay, which one? List iterator. Forward direction. Tell me what to do. List iterator. What it returns? Object. Which object? List iterator object. LITR. Now tell me, while LITR dot has next. Sorry, object O is equal to LITR dot next. System dot out dot println. Which one? O. Save it, run. Forward direction. Backward direction is this iterator backward direction. Then while LITR dot as previous. Object O is equal to LITR dot previous. System dot out dot println O or run. Same backward direction. Is this clear, everyone? and we can perform add, remove operation, add operation, and replace operation using tribes. Understood everyone? List iterator cursor. Okay. If we directly got set method, add method, remove method, all the objects will be modified. Either will be removed or will be added. Are you following? So that's why use condition. Some condition use it to perform add, replace, and remove operation. Okay. So with this, we have understood list iterator or not? So what are the disadvantage of list iterator cursor? List iterator. List iterator. List iterator means it is allowed only for list collection. It is not allowed for set, map, queue. So it is a universal cursor, not a universal cursor. It is allowed. Name itself, list iterator. It is a cursor for list. So it is not a universal. So which is a universal cursor? Iterator. That's why everyone uses everyone uses iterate. I hope you understood. So with this, what we have completed, cursor. So always remember, when we create a cursor object is created with one copy of all the elements of a collection. We have factory methods to create cursors. Are you following or not? So with this, we have completed cursors. Now we need to start on generics. What we need to start? Now generics we need to discuss. After completing generics, I will show you how to use ArrayList with a cursor and generic. How to use vector with a cursors and generics. Then we will see linked list and vector. Once start. After that, we will start set the collection. In next class, we will complete this. Then one more class to complete map. Is this clear? But everyone understood the code. Understand before writing the code, what you are doing, you should know. What happens internally, you should know. Believe me, if you know 3 collections, you can say you know collections. Because 3 collections only will be used everywhere. People will ask questions from 3 collections only. List, set, map. Queue, nobody will ask you. So we are more focusing on these 3 collections. Okay, sir? Clear or not clear? So with this, we have completed cursors today. Now we need to start channels, which we will discuss in the next class. So time is over. Let's stop it. You can leave.